long been the status quo that our governments tell us what we are allowed to know as citizens. During the mid-20th century, in the early days of the Cold War, the terrifying reality of nuclear war and the weapons that have the capacity to literally rain hell down upon the planet were deemed to be of the highest national security secrets. To preserve our national security and protect those secrets, the government and the newly created intelligence apparatus had to come up with ways to keep us safe. The best way to do that was to enact strict information control through program classifications and tiered security clearances for individuals within the system who would be allowed or read in to those programs or pieces of information. But the consideration of what may be potentially harmful to national security or national interest and thus be classified, and who's subsequently cleared to access those secrets, is at its core a personal judgment call, which, by the way, is a judgment call made by a human and therefore has the potential to be flawed, at least from time to time. The rationale used by these humans to make these judgments to classify something doesn't have to be justified unless it's challenged in court. These agencies creating these classifications aren't incorruptible. They can and will and do classify information and material, not just to protect national security, but to also hide mistakes that have been made by an agency, or to hide illegal activity, or simply for political preference reasons. But what these overactive and widespread classifications do in the long run is insulate those holding the power of classification and further distance us, the citizens, more importantly, congressional oversight. So what happens is you have a runaway security state with less and less visibility on it with each passing year, and makes it nearly impossible to try and understand where or how to course correct on the topics being classified into oblivion. And this, of course, includes the UFO topic. And we're going to dig into all this in detail, but the insidious implications, as we're about to see, is that we have a system ran by largely unknown, unelected officials with nearly 20 different intelligence agencies that have the power, through rampant overclassification of information, to literally steer the course of the country by controlling what information is or isn't shared. And what is shared is very tightly controlled and, unfortunately, often blindly accepted by Congress and the executive branch because they are told that the rest of it might affect our national interest securities someday and must remain behind a veil of secrecy. The reality is there is an alarming amount of classified information behind these walls of secrecy, and unless there are catastrophic releases from the inside the apparatus, like with the Pentagon Papers released by Daniel Ellsberg, or outlaw whistleblowers of the Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and Gary McKinnon ilk, much of this information will never see the light of day publicly. Just remember, as we go through this episode, the name of the game here is information control. Because if you can control the information, you can control the people. If you enjoyed this Beyond Strangeness Observable and you'd like to see the whole episode, that is linked here and in the description below. I'll see you again soon. Take care, my friend.